Just look at what they've done. There it is, confirmed by the official GDP data this week. Yet another disaster brought to you by the establishment. The biggest economic collapse in American history. Yes, China infected the world with its virus. They knew how bad it was, but covered it up. They stopped travel within China, but deliberately allowed travel out of China until President Trump moved to shut it down. We talk about reparations, and rightly so, not just here at home for racial injustice, but right now from China to the world for their virus crimes. China must pay for what their government did and the catastrophic damage they caused. But once the virus was here, the responsibility lay with our leaders. And what a complete and utter mess they've made of it. Right from the start, we told you the truth about this virus, that most people have nothing to fear, that the right response is to protect the vulnerable, that the mass shutdowns were a massive mistake. President Trump, he had the right instincts too, right from the start. But the media, the medical establishment, the political establishment, they didn't have a clue. Fueled by misinformation and hype from the Trump-hating media, just as we're seeing now with the brainless and reckless obsession with case numbers, the doctors took to the airwaves to insist that everything be subordinated to the one single objective of trying to stop anyone being infected. What lunacy this was, inflicted on America by a media medical complex in love with the sound of its own panic. In the First World War, the brave soldiers sent to their deaths by idiot generals were described as lions led by donkeys. Today, with the doctors falling in line behind the media deception, it's donkeys led by liars. What on earth were we doing, allowing the doctors to take over the country? As the French philosopher and activist Bernard-Henri Lévy put it this week, yes, America, I'm going to quote a French philosopher at you because this guy is bang on the money. The doctors are just people. They just don't know. They cannot be invested with this authority. Under their white coats, they are naked, like Hans Christian Andersen's emperor, and like you and me. People keep saying this is an unprecedented pandemic, he continues. It is not true. There seems to be an intention, a collective desire to panic. It's not as big a disaster as we think. There's a sort of unilateral focus. COVID, COVID, COVID. It completely erased any other information. He says we must resist the wind of madness blowing over the world. Yes, we must, because the cost of the madness, the human cost, is now astronomical, and it's borne not by the doctors, not by their media fanboys and girls, not by the clueless politicians making it up as they go along, but mainly by the poorest Americans, working Americans, Black and Hispanic Americans, the very people that the shutdown fanatics say they speak for, but obviously don't. Here's the shutdown toll. Over 17 million still out of work. At one point, it was 40 million. Over $41,000 per taxpayer in government spending. Over 100,000 small businesses shut down for good. And of course, the human toll, the mental health catastrophe, and the disastrous effects of long-term poverty on life expectancy. And what did it all achieve? Practically nothing. You saw similar death rates in countries that had no shutdown and countries that had even tougher shutdowns. Fauci says the virus spread because we only locked down 50% of the country. What? So he wants to see 80 million unemployed, 200,000 small businesses go bust, twice as many medical operations cancelled, twice as much domestic violence, twice as much substance abuse, twice as much child abuse? Haven't we suffered enough, Dr. Fauci? What is wrong with these people? They have no idea what they're doing. Fauci's following an old playbook for a different disease. Dr. Death and Destruction, the CDC's Robert Redfield, screwed up tests for months with his bureaucratic bungling. Vain governors around the country luxuriated in the limelight of daily press briefings, where they ludicrously pretended they could micromanage Mother Nature with their absurd phases and stages and gating criteria. What hubris! What arrogance! What idiots! They told us how carefully they would lift restrictions, then ripped them off and threw them to the wind when it was a political protest they favoured. They told us it was all about flattening the curve, without telling us that you end up with the same outcomes regardless. We said from the start the shutdowns are pointless. The virus will come back the minute you open up. Sure enough, around the world, cases are rising everywhere the lockdowns are being lifted. It was all just an illusion. There was no governor in control of events. Those carefully calibrated public health strategies designed by the experts to keep us safe, because as they never tire of telling us, safety is their top priority, they were a joke, ineffective, counterproductive. The worst of them, New York's Cuomo, sent thousands to their deaths as a conscious and deliberate policy choice with his disastrous nursing home order. All in all, this is the biggest public policy disaster in history. And still they press on, dementedly making it worse. Now we have the stupid reopening rules, the pseudo-scientific protocols and procedures, the pointless temperature checks, the time-wasting health questionnaires, the random capacity limits, 25%, 33%, 50%, all of it just make work nonsense from an out-of-touch corporate and government bureaucratic elite. Sweep it away, all of it. Reopen schools, reopen the economy everywhere, with one exception. As we said all along, protect the vulnerable. To do that, get the data on who is vulnerable. Precise data based on who has actually died. What exactly do we mean when we say underlying conditions? It is a scandal, a total national scandal, that we still do not have this information from Fauci. What has he been doing all these months, apart from smugly lapping up the adoration of a laughably uncritical media? And after all this, guess who wants to give Fauci even more power? That's right, Joe Biden, with typically humiliating and craven pandering to his media cheerleaders. Biden confirms he'll make everything even worse. With Biden and the Democrats, there'd be even more bogus bureaucracy and shutdown stupidity. And that terrifying prospect gets closer every day because of the baffling complacency of the Trump campaign. Where's the energy? Where are the ideas? Where's the hope for the future? 2 weeks ago, we were promised exciting policy announcements in the next 2 weeks. We're still waiting. Here's this week's campaign memo. You don't win elections with Facebook ads or digital strategy or whatever. Sure, they can help, but you win elections with ideas about the future, what you're going to do for people, the changes you will bring. We're not seeing any of that from the Trump campaign. They seem to be sleepwalking into a Biden presidency in the total calamity of a Democrat takeover, House, Senate, White House, the lot. Unconstrained power to implement the most left-wing agenda ever put before the American people by a major party. Wake up! We need to see a major Trump policy announcement or policy speech every week between now and November. Nothing else will do. Get on with it, or the country is sunk on coronavirus and everything else.